Good morning. We are going to be picking up on 1 Corinthians chapter 7, Paul's teaching on marriage. And then it'll go into abide in the same calling. And then it'll be talking about an unmarried man and woman. Okay. Well, let's have morning prayer, and then we shall get going, huh? I do want to say good morning to every one of you. Much love to you guys. I love you all. I respect you all. And if I've ever wronged any of you, said anything wrong, offended in any way, I apologize. And if I have, hit me up through Messenger and we can talk about it, okay? It's never my intentions to hurt anyone's feelings, which I don't think I have, but I just want to make sure I have it. And if I have, please contact me and we will talk about it. And just know that I am sorry and I do apologize, okay? Today is Wednesday and we have this Friday off. Oh yeah. And then it's spring break. Nice. Need that, man. I don't get much rest at night, so I'm looking forward to trying to get some rest. I don't know if I will, because I can't sleep in either, so either way, looking forward to doing something with my kids, walk around, maybe going on a drive up into the woods, have a picnic or something. We got to get out together and do something. I don't want my kids just to sit here this whole next week off and just play games the whole time. Lame. Spring break, bro. Alright? We need to go out and do something healthy and fun. Alright. Let's begin with our morning prayer. Father in heaven, thank you for this beautiful day. I'd like to take this opportunity to repent of my sins and ask you for forgiveness, Father. Help me to be able to control my speech and the way that I talk, to think before I speak, and to not just drift off in the moment, but to be in full concentration in every single conversation that I'm in, Father. Help me to always be mindful of the words that I choose, and to be present. Be with us. Be with everyone going to work today, all the children going to school, Father. Please touch their hearts and allow them to be happy. Please keep your hedge of protection around every one of them, Father. Let them feel your comforter, which is your Holy Spirit. Be with everyone going to work this morning and coming home from work, Father. Bless them all. Let them know that they're loved and cared for in all of the counties and in all of the working industries, Father, that help this world go around. I ask you to please give us your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding of your word, Father, and your interpretations thereof. I ask you to help us to understand how to let your word teach and to absorb your word internally and spiritually. I have family members that are sick, that have been burnt, and friends and family. Father, I ask you to reach down and touch them, heal them. We have lost friends. I ask you to send your comforter to their families, to give them the strength that they need to follow through with the process of losing a loved one, Father. And we thank you for all the guidance and support that you give to us, Father. And thank you for my neighbors and my brothers and sisters out there. I love them all. And thank you for your word. And we come to you and we ask of these things through your Son, Christ Yeshua. Amen. All right. So I'm starting a little bit earlier this morning. Thank goodness. We're going to get a little bit of time to read here. So I don't want to be talking too long. We need to read. Paul's teaching on marriage. Chapter 7, 1 Corinthians. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Three. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power over her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband hath not power over his own body, but the wife. 5. Defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent for a time. Boom, 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 boom. I'm sorry, I took my eyes. Okay. Defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. INCONTINENCY. Fasting and prayer and fasting is extremely important. Meow, what do you want? What do you mean, Mimi? Nope, don't be calling me. Okay. Fasting and prayer is definitely an important to get those toxins out of our body and to have our mind and our spirit, man or woman, being able to have that connection with our Father. Okay. And here it's asking for husband and wife to do that. Like, say, if you're not getting along with your husband or with your wife, in my case, we both should, as husband and wife, if we're both having a hard time with each other, we should fast and pray, and then come back together and talk about it and work it out. And we're going to be good. We're going to do good, okay? Good morning, you guys. Much love to you guys. We are on 1 Corinthians chapter 7. We just got through reading about, we're on Paul's teaching on marriage. And we just, it is good for a man not to touch. Okay, now concerning things thereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power over her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband hath no power over his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, and say that Satan tempt you not. Okay, so now we're caught up. But I speak this by promise, and not of commandment. For I would that all men were even as I myself, but every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner, and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. So he's saying, if you are single, it's good to be that way, but look at what Paul is doing. He's completely focused on God and Jesus and doing their will, fasting and praying and teaching and healing through God. And when you're single like that, you're able to have that full concentration. You know what I mean? God understands when we're married and have families and stuff. That's our gifts from God. That's why he's talking about everyone's given different gifts. All right? And some of us, our gifts is our family, so we need to realize that and take care of our gifts from God. 7, for I would that all men were even as myself. Okay, we read that. 8, I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. And burn is to have that, that feeling inside where your face gets hot and you're like burning and you just want that, and instead of going out and fornicating because you're all hot and bothered, it's better to find someone that you love and like and marry them. Does that make sense? Okay, verse 10, chapter 7, 1 Corinthians. The heading is Abide in the same calling. Okay? And unto the married I command ye not, I, but the Lord. He's telling us, I'm not commanding you, but the Lord is. Okay, so we need to pay attention to this. Let not the wife depart from her husband, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband. And let not the husband put away his wife, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. So now this is Paul speaking, not the Lord, okay? If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. So he's saying, even if you guys don't believe in the same thing, but if you love each other, don't put her away and go and have fornication. Love that woman. Eventually, either one's going to see, wow, this is nice to be this way. And then they're going to start looking into it, maybe asking questions. And if not, they'll still love you and support you, just like we love them and support them. Just like I don't celebrate Halloween or Easter or anything like that anymore. But my wife does. And I'm not going to force the things I believe on them. And that's just the way it is. You know what I mean? I've given them my information, and they can do what they will with it. Because I love them. Okay? Okay. All right. 14. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. So even if our family which is a blessing. I forgot this, and this is something I needed to hear. Even if our family members aren't believing, they can be sanctified through us in how we believe and love our Father and pray for our families, okay? 15. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such case, but God hath called us to peace. Okay, you see it's saying a brother and a sister. You know, if they're like that and they move out, then it's their own. But when it's our family and we're married, we're as one. And the children we have are part of us and therefore are one. For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? Question. Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? 17. But as God hath distributed to every man, as the Lord hath called every one, so let him walk. And so ordain I in all churches. 18. Is any man called being circumcised? Let him not be uncircumcised. Is any called in uncircumcision? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the commandments of God. Let every man abide in the same calling wherein he was called. Art thou called, being a servant? Care not for it. But if thou mayest be made free, use it rather. For he that is called in the Lord, being a servant, is the Lord's freeman. Likewise also he that is called, being free, is Christ's servant. Yeah, because we're free from all those things. 23. Ye are bought with a price, but not ye the servants of men. Brethren, let every man wherein he is called, therein abide with God. Okay, so now we're on 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 25. And the heading in my Bible says, Unmarried men and women. Now concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord, yet I give my judgment, as one that hath obtained mercy of the Lord, to be faithful. I suppose therefore that this is good for the present distress. I say that it is good for a man so to be. And being a virgin is like two things, like physically and spiritually. In the spiritual manner, it's not falling after other gods and false gods. You know what I mean? And worshiping other things. Alright? 27. Art thou bound unto a wife? Question. Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. 28. But, and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. Okay. And they that weep as though they weep not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possessed not. Let's go back over that real quick. I'm missing something here. But this I say, brethren, the time is short, okay? it remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. Okay, what's it saying before this? But if thou marry, thou hast not sinned, and if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh. But I spare you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. Down there in the notes it says, the Greek term philopesis probably indicates that Paul understood that this trouble will not come from within, as through marriage would be necessarily be accompanied by turmoil and distress. Rather, this trouble would come from without. This fits well with the emphasis of the persecution and trouble confronting the church at that time. Interesting. Okay. Now we're back up verse 30. And they that weep as though they weep not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoiced not, and they that buy as though they possess not. Okay, so let's see here. That they weep not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy, so they that buy as though they possess not, so continuously buying, and those that are rejoicing, that rejoice as though they haven't rejoiced, like strongly. Is that what I'm getting from this? Let me know in the comments if that's what you guys are getting from that. And they that use this world as not, abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for this thing that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. There is difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is commonly, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. And I'm just going to give my own little 2 cents. It's not going to be long. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncommonly towards his... and this I speak for you at my own profit, now that I may cast a snare upon you. But for that... that's why I always, even if we're married, especially when we're married, when we put God first, above everything, that's only beneficial for our family, our children, our wives or husbands. It's beneficial, okay? Because anything we do for God is beneficial for everyone, because that's how God is. He loves everyone. All right? Okay, that's my 2 cents on that. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncommonly toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age and need so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not. Let them marry. 37. Nevertheless, he that standeth steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but hath the power over his own will, and hath so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin doeth well. So then, he that giveth her in marriage doeth well, but he that giveth her not in marriage doeth better. And now, here's the thing, if we want to make this better, we put God first and focus on him. And everything else will fall in line, okay? It doesn't have to be that way, in my opinion. Because when we put God first, it makes everything better, alright? Trust me. Okay, the wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. But she is happier if she also abide after my judgment. And I think also that I have the Spirit of God. I think also I have the Spirit of God. Okay, we're going to read chapter 8 as well, because it's only a couple, 13 verses, okay? We got a couple minutes, so I want to push to 7 every time, okay? Food sacrificed to idols. Now as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth. Okay. I mean, that's pretty plainly stated. Knowledge puffeth up, makes you, basically makes you conceited. And charity edifieth, which edifies ourselves and makes us think of the world in a different way, okay, when our charity is in the right way. And if any man think that he knoweth anything, he knoweth nothing yet as he ought to know. But if any man love God, the same is known of him. As concerning thereof the eating of those things that are offered in sacrifice unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world, and that there is there's none other God but one. For though there be that are called gods, whether in heaven or in earth, as there be gods many and lords many, but to us there is but one God, the Father, of whom are all things, and we in him, and one Lord, Christ Yeshua, by whom are all things, and we by him. Howbeit there is not in every man that knowledge, for some with consents of the idol unto the hour eat it, as a thing offered unto an idol, and their conscience being weak is defiled. Conscience? I think that's conscience. Conscience, okay. Conscience. Conscience being weak is defiled. 8. But meat commandeth us not to God. For neither if we eat are we the better, neither if we eat not are we the worse. But take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak. For if any man see thee, which hast knowledge, sit at meat in the idol's temple, shall not be conscious of him which is weak, but emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols. That makes sense, right? And though thy knowledge shall the weak brother perish, for whom Christ died. Question. But when ye sin so against the brethren, and wonder, and let's reread that, 12. But when ye sin against the brethren, and wound their weak conscience, ye sin against them. Wherefore If meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh, while the world standeth, lest I make my brethren to offend. Okay. So let's just read down here in the notes. So this is going to cover through chapter 7, verse 32 to 8 to 9. Okay? We'll just read a little bit. We got 2 minutes. Paul's argument here is not that the married life is less spiritual than the celibate life, but that the celibate life is less distracted by worldly cares. Hence, the single man or woman enjoying greater freedom, therefore enjoys greater potential in terms of service. The focal point of Paul's advice is the promotion of faithful, undistracted devotion to the Lord. And that's what I'm saying. We can do that too, being married. Okay, we can be that way. We just have to learn how to focus like that, okay? It will help in understanding this passage to remember the control the father had over the marriage of his daughter in ancient times. The virgin referred to is an unmarried daughter. I think does not suggest doubt in any way. The phrase is better translated, I consider also that I have the Spirit of God. 8:9. Liberty means freedom of choice or right to decide. The availability of an option does not necessitate its exercise, especially when love and concern for someone else becomes a factor. The most serious danger in an unrestrained approach to Christian liberty is the possibility of causing sin in the weaker brother. This is a testament to what Paul says in Romans 14:23. He that doubteth is damned if he eat. In other words, he is under the sure judgment of God for his sin. The most extreme application of the principle would involve sinning unto death. In order to avoid the offending of a brother, Paul would primarily exclude meat from his diet. The passage does not refer to legislate desires of imposing their narrow-minded scruples on another's. Such are not weak brethren, but headstrong brethren. Headstrong brothers, but headstrong brothers desirous of glorying in subjection of others to their tenets. This is ternary, and Christianity must also be on guard against this. Note further in the verse that the decision to follow the path of love rests with Paul, not with the weak. The strong are to yield to love's appeal voluntarily, not because the weak demanded it. Always demand subjection to their law. Okay, all right. So we read 2 chapters. Wonderful. We read about the food sacrificed to idols. So he's saying, like, if you're around a bunch of people that are doing that, and we're trying to talk about God and what we're supposed to eat and not eat and things of that nature, so we can take that as what we're supposed to do and what we're not supposed to do. Okay, we needed to look at this food as spiritual food. What are we saying and what are we doing? Is our actions following along with our words? Okay, that's what I'm getting from that. And unmarried men and women, we did go over that. I feel like that was explained pretty well. Abide in the same calling. That was explained pretty decently. You know, it's okay to have a husband or a wife that doesn't believe in the same things we do. As long as we're, you know, if we're married and trying to do things right like that, and one of us is a firm believer in our Father in heaven and doing His will and focusing on Him, then our family will be good through that. They'll be sanctified. Okay? And, yeah. And then Paul's teaching on marriage. Physically, it was definitely explained. Spiritually, if you want to look at this context, spiritually, that would be being married, like being married to the church and focusing on the church and doing God's will, and loving the church as we love ourselves, you know, because we're supposed to love our wives as we love ourselves, and vice versa. So there's a deep thing to go into there, spiritually speaking. So that's pretty cool. That's why I love God's Word. We learn in so many different levels. We'll pick up tomorrow, chapter 9, the Apostles' Freedom and Power. That should be a good one. All right. I love you guys. God be with you. May He be with us all. And may we think before we speak and act and react. And may we be slow to anger and quick to listen. All right.